What are some study tips for high school students who are struggling and want to improve? When I'm trying to learn something, I pretend that I am teaching someone, and for some reason this helps. Write notes down. There's something about reading notes written down by yourself, and it stays longer in your memory. Treat it like a job. Hit the books Monday through Friday 9 to 5. Work in the library, not your room or apartment. Don't miss a class. Work ahead during that 40 hours. This method worked wonders for me, and I never had to stay up late trying to cram stuff. When I'm trying to learn something, I pretend that I am teaching someone, and for some reason this helps. It's because to teach someone, you actually have to have an understanding of the material, and it makes you think about it rather than vaguely remembering that one fact. It's the same principle as rubber ducking for programming. If you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it well enough. This has helped me realize how little I understand things I thought I understood really well. I've tried explaining things to 5-year-olds. They just run around and make loud noises instead of learning. I don't think that's my failing. If you use flashcards, start with 2 or 3 and slowly add in more to the deck once you've mastered a few. I used to think flashcards didn't work because I'd sit there with a deck of 50 wondering why I couldn't remember any when I got back to the beginning. Maybe this is obvious for some people, but was a life-changing moment for me when a high school teacher recommended, I did the opposite. Start with 50 cards on random shuffle and narrow the deck little by little as I started to remember them. It minimized time spent studying easy cards. Then again, I studied mostly history and language, and that tends to be very interconnected. You learn stuff just by getting one wrong and reading the explanation. This is the right way to use flashcards. It keeps you from spending time on what you know and concentrates your efforts on learning what you don't. Students can waste a lot of time studying material they already understand because it makes them feel smart. I think it depends on the person. I feel more confident to learn if I am getting somewhere, so answering a few easy questions than tackling harder ones is my go-to. I'm currently taking a stats test in a couple weeks, so I would hit the easy questions first, make sure I completely understand the easy points, and build up to more difficult questions. Study in short bursts. I remember a psych professor in college saying it's been proven that after 20 to 30 minutes of studying, your brain starts to retain less and less information. So study for 20 to 30 minutes, take a quick 10-minute break, then go back to studying. Place your phone in another room while studying. Terrace apps that help you stay off your phone while studying, for example one that grows a tree when you have the app open, and kills it if you leave the app too soon, and eventually you can look back on the forest you've grown through your studying. App? Looks like it's called Forest, and while it's not free, there seems to be a way to convert your virtual trees into real, planted trees. It's free for the most part, only thing Premium does is plant real trees. Does Premium also kill real trees when you look at your phone? I want the real experience. Oop, he looked at his phone. Chop it down, Bill. Yes sir. Big guy with an axe approaches the sapling and swipes it down in one swing. Don't procrastinate or take a break before doing your work. The second you get assigned homework, start it immediately after school. This one might be obvious, but it's something that helps me out. This is not exactly a study tip, but if you don't understand anything, no matter how stupid, never shy away from asking a teacher. Just to add on a little bit, don't ever get home and start to play a video game or watch some TV. You'll never get to starting your work. I did this a lot when I was in high school, and you'll see your grades slip. Number 1 mistake I made in high school was assuming that my teachers were always good at dispensing content in an understandable way. There's so much variance. Depending on your teacher, plague your teacher with questions before after class. They're, hopefully, there to help you. Take notes during class. Take a picture of the board if you need to. If your teacher goes off slideshows, get copies of each lecture. Supplement your teacher's lectures with lectures from the internet. There's almost always someone online who's figured out a better way to divulge the info than your teacher. If your teacher is confusing or going too fast, let them know, maybe multiple times. They might not realize. Look into private tutoring. Maybe your school offers it, or your teacher would be willing to help, or something online. A good tutor analyzes what you know so they can teach at your level. Get enough sleep and eat right. Keep your brain running at high efficiency for efficient studying. Stop being so worried about ducking up right now. You can fix it far easier than you think. High schools put so much pressure on you to figure out what you want to do with your life. But some college professors have told me that they were in like 2 or 3 years to a program before they found what they were actually passionate about. I switched from sociology to English, and then I remembered that I love history more than anything else. So don't worry about it too much. My dad didn't go to college until he was 45. My school started putting heavy pressure on kids to choose a career in 8th grade. It was so ridiculous, because at that age, kids still don't know what 95% of office workers do. I went to college still not knowing what I wanted to do, so I just majored in something I found interesting and useful. And then fell into my career in hour. Joke's on them, I'm 35 and still just figuring it out as I go along, which honestly is what most people do. I worked for a few years out of high school before deciding to go to college. A change of scenery does wonders. No matter how amazing your desk at home is, studying in the library is way more productive due to social pressure and your brain knowing that you're here to study. Nah, the library is full of people and I can't study with people around. It gets too noisy there and I just don't like it. That's unfortunate. My library is pin drop silence. If anyone makes a peep, they're kicked out. I'm referring to the public library though. Don't study in your bed. Go somewhere else to study, desk, library, school, and don't be afraid to ask your teacher or academic counselor what they think you should do. Most teachers are always willing to help students who show they care. I like studying in a library because it helps me associate the two in my head. Library studying, let's get shit done. Being around others that are studying also helps guilt me into being more focused. Yeah, seeing everyone else working hard helps a lot. You're not going to be watching YouTube videos if everyone's writing papers. So for second language classes, Duolingo is a lifesaver. It makes casual study much easier. Also, Khan Academy is an excellent tool that I strongly encourage you use. I've never actually used Duolingo because of all the memes. Does it actually work? Edit. Wow, thanks everyone for your help. I can testify I know much more French than when I started. But you have to be persistent. Or else the owl will skewer your family. Duo mangia la tua familia. I learned from my experience that studying for hours doesn't mean anything if I'm not taking in stuff and really understanding things enough to the point I could explain it or describe it within some other example cases problems. So ideally finding the best way you learn, and then sticking to it. Do you like to rephrase things to understand it, or draw it out, or other visual aids? Maybe saying what you think is important out loud is the way to go. Many options, but sticking by one or a few that suits you best and gradually working out how to improve that process is probably a really efficient way to study than or reading everything and then trying to memorizing things over and over again for a long period of time. Break the work down into smaller amounts. Make note cards or outlines. Rewriting the work can help you remember. It also can highlight brief facts that are easier to remember versus large paragraphs. Read it out loud. Find someone to study with. Study at the library or a coffee shop instead of at home. If you can afford it, get a cheap second laptop that is only for school. Do not install any programs other than what you need for your classes. Only use the laptop for school. Only do school work on that laptop. These two things saved me. Same here, I needed to get away from distractions. My freshman year of college I was failing classes for the first time. I would reward myself for 15 minutes of studying with a quick game of Counter-Strike or diving down some hole on the internet. 4 hours later I was still playing. From then on I would bike over to the library with nothing but my study materials, go to the very top floor where there was nobody and sit down at a desk until I finished. It was the only way I could stay disciplined. Remove the option to do anything but what you set out to do. Work before distraction. Edit. Add scheduling makes success. Not work or motivation alone. Work smart, not hard. All these mottos I am still trying to get a hold of. Scheduling makes success. Studying should be a habit like everything else you need to do. If you schedule your studying and stick to that schedule, soon it will be very easy to study without scheduling it. The power of a habit, good or bad, is enormous.